That evening, the Los Angeles Civic Dome was bursting with life. The huge building glowed with bright neon lights, and giant letters flashed across the outside walls. International Karate Championship Finals. Inside, it felt like a storm had moved in. Over 20,000 people filled the seats. The sound of talking, cheering, and chanting mixed together like thunder. The air buzzed like static from a TV. Vendors shouted, selling popcorn, hot dogs, and soda. Giant screens glowed high above the ring. The whole arena pulsed with excitement. But the loudest thing of all was not the crowd. It was the fighter standing in the middle of the ring. His name was Brandon Steele. He was 30 years old, tall and strong. His broad shoulders stretched the fabric of his black karate uniform. His face was sharp, his cheekbones cut like stone, and his blonde hair, damp with sweat, stuck to his forehead. His chest rose and fell, but he wasn't tired. In fact, he looked like he wanted more. A smirk spread across his face as he stared down at his opponent, another fighter who now limped sadly toward the edge of the mat. The referee stepped up and lifted Brandon's arm. "Winner!" he shouted. The crowd exploded. But not everyone cheered. Half of the arena clapped and screamed for Brandon, the American champion. The other half booed loudly. Many fans hated the way Brandon treated others. Instead of bowing politely to his beaten opponent like true karate fighters do, Brandon pushed the man away. He strutted across the ring, proud and arrogant. Then, before the announcer could even speak, Brandon snatched the microphone from his hand. "Ladies and gentlemen," Brandon's voice boomed across the dome, "you have just witnessed domination. Another so-called challenger destroyed by me. And let me tell you something, no one in Los Angeles can even come close to my level." The noise in the arena grew even louder. Some fans clapped and cheered, but others shouted and booed. Brandon loved it. He walked in slow circles, his eyes glowing like a predator's, drinking in the crowd's energy. "You boo me because you know I'm right." Brandon barked. "Karate is the king of all martial arts. Every man who stepped into this ring tonight fell like a little child before me. Respect? They don't deserve it. Honor? That's for losers. What matters is winning. And I am unbeatable." The giant screen zoomed in on Brandon's face. His grin stretched wide across the massive displays, flashing to every corner of the arena. He pointed at random people in the audience, mocking them. "Look at you all. Hiding in your seats, safe behind the crowd. Not one of you has the courage to stand here and face me. You're all the same weak." The booing grew so loud it nearly shook the walls. But then Brandon's eyes stopped. His grin faded into something else, curiosity. High up in the VIP section sat a man who wasn't booing. He wasn't cheering either. He wasn't afraid at all. He just sat there, calm and still, his eyes fixed on the ring. And the whole world knew who he was. It was Jason Statham. Jason was 57 years old. He wore a simple black jacket over a fitted gray t-shirt, jeans, and heavy boots. His bald head gleamed under the white spotlights, and his sharp eyes looked down like a hawk. He didn't move. He didn't blink. His arms stayed crossed as he watched. The crowd noticed almost instantly. Whispers grew into gasps, then into roars. "It's Jason Statham," someone yelled. Within seconds, phones were up in the air, cameras flashing toward the Hollywood action star. The arena buzzed like a hive of bees. Brandon's grin returned. He laughed into the mic and pointed straight at Jason. "Well, well, well," Brandon mocked. "Look who we have here. Hollywood's action hero himself. Jason Statham, the man who pretends to fight on the big screen. Tell me, Jason, how many stunt doubles would you need to survive 5 seconds in here with me?" The crowd gasped again. Half booed angrily, but the other half grew quiet, waiting to see what would happen. Jason didn't move. He didn't frown. He just sat there like a statue, his eyes locked on Brandon. Brandon strutted around the ring, taunting. "You sit there looking all tough, but we all know you wouldn't last a minute. Movies are fake." He slammed his palm hard on the mat. "This is real." Brandon pointed again. "Come down here if you dare. Let's show everyone what happens when Hollywood fantasy meets reality." The arena went wild. Some fans cheered nervously. Others shouted for the challenge. Then a chant began, soft at first, then louder, spreading across the crowd like fire. "Statham! Statham! Statham!" Jason finally moved. He leaned forward in his chair. His elbows rested on his knees as he stared down at the arrogant champion. Then slowly he stood up. The roar of the crowd nearly blew the roof off the dome. The sound was deafening. People jumped to their feet, Phones held high, recording every step. Jason walked toward the ring, calm and steady. Each step felt heavy, filled with power, like something big was about to happen. He climbed into the ring without saying a single word. He didn't grab the mic. He didn't shout. He didn't even raise his fists yet. He just stood across from Brandon, quiet, unreadable, and dangerous, like a storm waiting to break. Brandon bounced on his heels, grinning with excitement. "All right, old man," he said. "You want respect? You'll get it, after I knock you flat on your back." The referee looked confused. He turned toward the organizers at ringside, unsure if this was even allowed. But the chants from the audience grew so loud it was impossible to stop. The bell rang. The fight began. Brandon moved first. He was quick, his years of karate training powering his strikes. A sharp front kick shot straight at Jason's chest. But Jason shifted calmly, letting the kick glide past like he had seen it 1,000 times. Brandon spun and fired a sidekick. Then he threw a hard punch aimed at Jason's face. Each strike cut through the air with speed, echoing under the lights. But Jason was ready. His arms moved with perfect timing, blocking each attack. His defenses were small, smooth, and flawless, like steel shutters slamming shut in front of Brandon's fists and feet. The crowd roared even louder. The real fight had begun. The crowd was louder than thunder. Every time a punch came close to landing, people screamed and shouted. Half of them were yelling Brandon's name, cheering for him to win. The other half were sitting on the edge of their seats, holding their breath, waiting for Jason to strike. Brandon moved in a circle, sweat rolling down his face like water. His blonde hair stuck to his forehead. Even though the fight was hard, he still wore a smile on his lips. His pride and confidence were still there, shining like a mask. "Not bad, old man," Brandon called out, his voice full of arrogance. "But I'm just warming up." Then Brandon rushed forward again. His fists came flying like a storm. Left, left, fast and sharp. He spun his body and threw a back fist that made Jason step backward for a moment. For a short while, it looked like Brandon was winning. He was pushing Jason toward the corner of the ring. Flashes from cameras sparkled like stars as photographers tried to capture every second. The announcer's voice boomed through the microphone, shouting with excitement. The noise of the crowd grew bigger and bigger until it felt like one giant roar filling the whole arena. But then something changed. Jason moved. With perfect timing, Jason slipped past Brandon's next punch. He moved quickly but carefully, like he had been waiting for this moment all along. His elbow shot forward and slammed into Brandon's ribs with a brutal strike. The sound was horrible, like a wooden drum being hit too hard. The crowd gasped. Half of the arena suddenly went silent. Brandon's mouth opened wide as he gasped for breath. His smile was gone, replaced by pain. His body bent slightly as he staggered backward. Jason didn't stop. He didn't give Brandon a single second to recover. He swung a sharp hook that smacked into Brandon's jaw. Then he punched again, this time into Brandon's body. And then, like a hammer falling, Jason's knee slammed into Brandon's stomach. Brandon doubled over, coughing. Spit flew from his mouth. His body shook as he tried to catch his breath. The crowd jumped to their feet, shouting even louder. Some were shocked by what they saw. Others screamed with joy, thrilled by Jason's attack. Brandon stepped backward, trying to escape. His chest moved up and down fast, his breathing heavy and rough. He wiped his lip with his hand, and when he pulled it away, he saw blood. His eyes filled with anger, but inside he was afraid. Trying to cover up his fear, Brandon yelled and spun around, throwing a tornado kick. His legs sliced through the air in a wide circle. It was a big move, full of risk. But Jason was calm. He had already seen it coming. Jason ducked low, turned his body, and swept Brandon's standing leg out from under him. The champion from America crashed to the mat with a heavy slam. The sound echoed through the arena like a giant drumbeat. The floor shook under the force. The crowd exploded with noise again. Some cheered. Some screamed. Some shouted Brandon's name, begging him to get up. Jason stood tall over his fallen opponent. He did not rush. He did not breathe hard. His chest moved slowly, steady as ever. Brandon scrambled to his feet, red-faced with shame. His eyes burned with humiliation. Desperate, he charged at Jason again. This time, he didn't look like a trained fighter. He looked like a wild man on the street, swinging his fists without control. But Jason was ready. As Brandon threw one more wild punch, Jason caught his arm in midair. With smooth skill, Jason twisted Brandon's arm behind his back and locked it tight. Brandon screamed. His knees bent as pain shot through his body. Jason forced him down toward the mat. The crowd went wild again. Some shouted for Brandon to keep fighting. Others screamed for Jason to finish him. Every camera in the building zoomed closer to Brandon's suffering face. His mouth opened wide as he howled in pain. His eyes squinted shut. Jason's hands held firm, strong as iron. But Jason did not yell. He did not smile. He did not act proud. He just tightened the lock, calm and serious, like a teacher giving a lesson. He held it there, ruthless and controlled. Finally, Brandon's pride broke. He could not stand the pain anymore. His hand slapped the mat again and again. The sound was sharp, fast, desperate, like drums calling for surrender. The referee stepped in. It was over. Brandon had tapped out. The arena exploded. People jumped, cheered, screamed. Jason's name was chanted from every corner of the dome. Brandon lay on the floor, covered in sweat. His face showed only pain and shame. The pride he carried when he entered the ring was gone, shattered into pieces. Jason slowly released his grip and stood. He moved calmly, his face steady, cold, and quiet. He didn't raise his arms in victory. He didn't wave to the crowd. He didn't act like a hero. Instead, he walked over to the microphone that had fallen earlier. Slowly, he bent down and picked it up. The whole arena went silent, waiting for him to speak. Jason raised the mic to his lips. His voice was low, but it carried power through the air. "Respect isn't given," he said. "It has to be earned. Remember that." Then he let the microphone fall. It hit the mat with a loud thud that echoed across the room. Jason turned and walked out of the ring. His boots hit the floor with heavy thuds. His body looked strong and tall under the bright white lights above. The crowd erupted again, roaring his name. "Jason! Jason!" The voices blended together, a giant wave of sound that followed him as he left the arena. That night in Los Angeles, the people saw more than just a fight. They saw arrogance defeated by discipline. They saw pride destroyed by humility. They saw a champion silenced by a man who did not need to brag. Jason Statham did not just win. He showed the whole world what true strength really looks like.